Hello and welcome to this News9 special. And now, well, the controversy over a particular invite has been asking this big question whether India's name is now going to be changed to Bharat. Why it happened so? It happened because there was this invite for this G20 dinner that was given out by the President's office, and it had this, the President of Bharat written on it. So it was no longer India that was there, and therefore it has moved into the realm of speculations and later into controversy whether there is going to be a change of the country's name in its entirety. Remember, there's already this huge controversy over the special session that has been called by the Parliament as to what would have been in the agenda. Again, speculations being there rife on it. Well, this is the invite that we're talking about, and there you have it. The President of Bharat is what is mentioned over there. Normally, it would have been the President of India, but it's written the President of Bharat, and this is an invite that was formally given for a dinner session on September 9th for G20, and this seems to be the one that is triggering the entire debate whether the country's official name is going to change or not. Well, to discuss more about this, we have with us our political editor Brijesh Pandey, who joins us in the studio.
Thanks.
We have KV Dhananjay, who joins us. He is a senior advocate and a matter of constitution is where he in fact has a specialization in. We are also joined in by Suresh Kochatal, who is a political analyst who joins us as well. Well, Brijesh, India, Bharat, as journalists, when we speak about India and Bharat, the first thing is that, India is that urban center, suave people who have knowledge of English, and Bharat is your rural sectors that you're talking about, the divide between India and Bharat that we keep talking about. That is what we know. But now with this, is there a plan to change the country's name?
Well, I think, this particular invite which has been sent out by the President of India, which is like also hemmed by Ministry of External Affairs, where they say the President of Bharat, it has triggered a massive, I would say, inquisitiveness and curiosity in people that whether the special session which has been called, 5-sitting session which has been called by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in this resolution is going to be passed where, now we won't be calling India India, but calling India Bharat. And, as the first article 1 clearly says India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of state. So I think India might be giving way to Bharat, and what has more triggered, reaction from the opposition side is also given the fact that 3-4 days back, RSS Sarsangh Chalak Mohan Bhagwat spoke about the need to rename India as Bharat, to reflect the glorious tradition that India was. There are many who believe that there is no need for this, but then this is what politics is all about, if I may say so.
Politics is all about. Well, we have KV Dhananjay who's joining us as well. KV Dhananjay, what is your reaction to this particular aspect? India could be renamed into Bharat, and if it should be done or not to be done, because as my colleague was pointing out, article, the union of its and its territory, where the article in fact says that India that is Bharat is how it's mentioned in that opening statement. So how do you see this particular aspect?
Well, this is really not the way to move forward, and the president happens to be the head of the executive in this country, and we shouldn't casually assume that, we will henceforth call India as Bharat, because if India should be called as Bharat, notwithstanding that the constitution says India that is Bharat. So one of the reasons why the constitution says India that is Bharat is to in fact preserve our heritage. But having done that, they still made a choice to not move ahead with Bharat, but then to move ahead with India. Now, that is something that we should honor. And the president, as the head of the executive, has a duty to, be formal where the need arises. Now, G20 is an international event. Now, the president ought not to have done this. And I think this is highly unacceptable on the part of the president to have said that he's the president of Bharat, because he's not the president of Bharat, he's the president of India. And if he wants to call himself as the president of Bharat, that would require a kind of consensus amongst various people who are vested with the responsibility to amend the constitution. Now, these are formalities that the ordinary person may not really bother much about, but these are formalities that matter a great deal because we still have a written constitution. We are bound by formalities, and this is in fact a formality over our identity. my name is KV Dhananjay. Am I going to call myself something else apart from KV Dhananjay just because I really feel we do that on Twitter? But I'm not going to go to the court tomorrow and prepare a memo and instead of my usual name, put some other name along with that because that, in fact, is not permissible in an official setting. And the president was acting in an official setting. He ought not to have done what he did. And it is irrelevant whether Congress objects to it or not. But what is relevant is this country would want the presidents to simply follow the law. And if they are unhappy with being called as the president of India, then the president has two options. One, he must request for a formal change of the name of this country, or in the alternative, he should simply resign and go home. What he did in an international event and setting is beneath the office of the president. Now, unfortunately, this is the very thing that the political party in power wanted, and now the president, swinging to the tune of a political party in power is not a good thing because the president must keep himself above float. He's expected to be independent of the political party's aspirations. He is the president of India. He's not the president of the Bharatiya Janata Party. So this is really very upsetting, and I would say. I would like to use the choice of word I would like to press here is disturbing. This ought not to have happened.
This should have not have happened. Suresh Kuchatal, how do you in fact see if there is a name change that's going to happen from India to Bharat?
Well, I think when Calcutta became Kolkata, or when Madras became Chennai, or Bangalore became Bengaluru, nobody had any objection. And just to correct Dhananjay, it is she, not he, is the President of India. The President of India has a reason. If you look at the Constitution, Article 1, it says Hindi mein Bharat, Angrezi mein India. Okay, so that's very, very clear. So the President is well within her rights. She is inviting people as the President of Bharat. Okay, now you can say that why President, why not Rashtrapati? So that is not a terminology understood. But if you look at even people from Pakistan, or for that matter, people from anywhere in the other parts of the Indian subcontinent, they always address us as Bharat or Hindustan. They don't call us India often. And that is what we need to understand. Why is it that our neighbors have no issues with calling us Bharat or Hindustan, but we in India have an issue when it comes to calling ourselves? So when Kolkata became Kolkata, why was there no objection? Why didn't the people say, no, in the constitution it is not? The constitution doesn't say so much. It does say the word Bharat. It is up to the nomenclature how to use it. Yes, when Hindi is used often, it's often said Bharat. And we know where the terminology evolved. It is only in the 17th century that India as a word evolved. In the 7th century, there was a mention in the old texts, but that was not really one. The modern English shows India coming up somewhere in the 17th century. So we were a Bharat Desh, we were a Bharat Vash. We are proud of our heritage. I mean, I'm really all for naming Kerala as Keralam. Yes, that is the original one. I have no objection in Madras being called Chennai because Madras was a British kind of invention. The same goes for Kolkata. I mean, why is it that only when BJP starts naming the Bharat, or there's no such proposal as such, but a president inviting somebody, and today they have even included president. The president is above everything, above criticism, but today they've dragged the name of the president into a debate, political debate, for an invite which she sends out. It is her prerogative to call what she wants and what she does, as long as she is within the broad parameters of the Constitution. And I fail to understand why there is so much of hue and cry on it, why there was no hue and cry later. We also saw that in cases of Delhi streets being renamed. We would like to honor our invaders. No other country does this. You will not find a Hitler street in Israel, but we find an Aurangzeb road in Delhi. And this is the problem with us. We actually go around trying to honor our invaders, but we don't like to be called Bharat. We don't like to be called Hindustan, which is what, if you see a Pakistani television commentator, he always says Hindustan or Bharat. He doesn't say India often. But then there's no such issue. We keep quiet. We say, oh, wonderful. But when the president of India sends out an invite saying the president of Bharat, and there all hell breaks loose. That's what I fail to understand. It's a president's prerogative. And let the president decide what she wants to be called as long as I mentioned before, within Article 1 of the Constitution, it is legally permissible. Whether they change the name of India into Bharat, it's a different thing. And today itself, I was complimenting Sai Deepak on Twitter to say that India, that is Bharat, which is the name of the book that he recently wrote. actually seems to be coming true. And that is what, as a civilization, we are never proud of our old heritage. Pataliputra, oh no, it's changed. It's gone. We have Aurangabad, which was not there before. So how did this new names come in? We need to correct our history, because those who forget history are condemned to repeating it. And that's exactly what my point is.
Condemning to repeating it. Well, let us in fact listen to some of the reactions that have been coming in, especially after this invite has gone on. It's taken a political turn as well. Let's listen to the initial reactions on this.
हम सब लोग इंडिया शब्द का उपयोग करना छोड़ दें और भारत शब्द का उपयोग करना प्रारंभ करें। कभी कभी अंग्रेजी जानने वालों के सामने हमको बोलना पड़ता है, तो भाषा के प्रवाह में ही इंडिया आ जाता है, क्योंकि उनको समझना चाहिए, कोई जरूरत नहीं है। जो विशेष नाम होते हैं उसका भाषांतर नहीं किया जाता, दुनिया में कहीं नहीं करते। ऐसे हमारा भारत देश है, सदियों से उसका नाम है, जो असतो मा सद्गमय, तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय, मृत्योर्मा अमृतम गमय की यात्रा करता है, तेज की तरफ जाता है, प्रकाश में रत रहता है, ज्ञान में रत रहता है, वो हमारा देश है। उसका नाम भारत है, तो दुनिया में कहीं भी जाएगा तो वो भारत ही रहना चाहिए। तो हम बोलने में लिखने में सर्वत्र भारत कहे। किसी को समझने में नहीं आया, चिंता न करे, उसको जरूरत है तो वो समझ लेगा। हमको जरूरत नहीं है सबको समझाने की, हम अपने आप में समर्थ है, स्वतंत्र है। आज दुनिया को हमारी जरूरत है, बिना दुनिया हम चल सकते हैं, दुनिया हमारे बिना नहीं चल सकती।
मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा इसमें गलत क्या है। भारत हमारा देश का, हमारा देश भारत ही है, इसमें प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ भारत लिखने में किसको तकलीफ है?
तो संविधान से छेड़छाड़ है सर, कांग्रेस
देखिए कांग्रेस को तो सब कुछ छेड़छाड़ी दिखता है ना। उनको एक दिन सनातन धर्म को इरेडिकेट करना है, दूसरा दिन कुछ और बोलेंगे। इसमें मुझे कोई नहीं लगता इसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम है। भारत का नाम अगर हम भारत नहीं यूज करेंगे तो क्या यूज करेंगे?
भारत के संविधान के निर्माता ने जो लिखा कि इंडिया दैट इज भारत शैल बी ए यूनियन ऑफ स्टेट्स, पहली ही धारा को आप बदलना चाहते हैं। ये इस देश के करोड़ों लोगों का अपमान है जो बाबा साहब डॉक्टर भीमराव अंबेडकर में आस्था रखते हैं, जो भारत के संविधान में आस्था रखते हैं। ये उनका अपमान है। और मैं मोदी जी को और भागवत जी को आगाह करना चाहता हूं कि बाबा साहब के सम्मान के साथ खिलवाड़ मत कीजिए, भारत के संविधान के साथ खिलवाड़ मत कीजिए।
Brijesh, this big question about, nativizing your names and trying to nativize your identity, nativize your culture. But India, though they say it's a colonial hangover, if a lot of people don't understand is that, when Sindh became Ind, when it moved to Iranians, and from there to Europe it became India, and then, the Portuguese and the French took the Spanish were all trying to find this country quite well, and then there's a letter that is written to one of the princes of India by the Pope himself, in which he calls the country as Ind as well. So it's been there for quite some time as India itself, but then anglicized to India, and then we continue with that legacy. Nehru keeps that name there, and now going to Bharat, what does it mean? I mean, is it throwing away a colonial hangover, or is it, just trying to say that you're just reasserting your identity, that's it?
I honestly don't know whether you want to throw away your colonial hangover with the usage of the word India and removing it India, because as Mr. Kochetel was saying that Calcutta becomes Kolkata, or Madras became Chennai, or Bombay becomes Mumbai. There were a lot of struggle for it. There were resolution passed, and then it was done. It didn't came as a sneak surprise that one fine morning, you saw a letter which changed everything, the name from Kolkata to Calcutta to Kolkata, or from Madras to Chennai. Naming, changing of name and all is not going to bother me that much. But the point is that that there is a political block which has emerged, which is called India. So the timing of the change, but does point to a fact that how does one react to that? Because you say that Bharat is understandable is like saying that Hindi is the national language of the country, which is not. So if for there's a linguistic diversity, you know, when you write a name in Kerala, that is all right, because that's for the people of Kerala. You know, it doesn't concern somebody who's living in a state of Uttar Pradesh. But when we change the name of the country and all, it concerns everybody. And you have to also factor in the linguistic diversity. So you know, there's a whole host of regions. Change of name is like, you know, I mean, I understand. You know, Mr. Kochetil comes from a particular ideology, so he has to do that. But I think, I mean, you know, it has raised a very valid questions. I mean, there's no denying about that.
So, because senior advocate in the Supreme Court, Mr. K.V. Dhananjay, was also saying there is a technicality. It's not that overnight you just can go ahead, and there's a technicality that you have
change
to
it.
change
But
it.
I'm
But
just
go
saying
by
that,
the
like,
book.
you know, just before G20, there's an invite which went out which says, you know, the President of Bharat. So it's a complete departure from past. So you know, so are we trying to say that the next president which comes can again start using India and in their invites? It's not a personal invite; it's an official invite. The President of India is not doing anything which is personal. It represents the continuity of the. I mean, you know, it's not like any prime minister can come and completely undo what has been done by his predecessors. There's a method, there's a mechanism. So if the President of India represents India, it's not like he or she is sending out an invite in a personal capacity. So you have to follow that thing. That was what I meant to say.
Well, Mr. K.V. Dhananjay, who is also an advocate in the Supreme Court, Mr. Dhananjay, how do you see this? Is it more about trying to counter the India alliance? Because India tends to be, you know, the INDIA alliance is something that has taken over the name India. So they decided, okay, fine, let's give them a run for their money. So let's slowly start using Bharat so that you dissociate India from the India alliance completely.
If that should be the theory, then it's even more disturbing. I did call it as disturbing. Of course, I stand corrected. I wrongly use the word he. It's she, Srimati Draupadi Murmu. You know, the RSS president, RSS functionary says, we will do it in this manner. And you have the President of India saying, okay, I'm doing it in this manner. What kind of independence is the president demonstrating to the people of this country? And by the way, you know, Chennai is Chennai, but then the High Court of Madras has not become the High Court of Chennai. Because we don't follow the Hindu law, we don't follow Yajnavalkya, we don't follow Manusmriti in this country. We follow the law laid down first by the English judges for well over a century and then followed over by our system. We've adopted it. So the High Court of Madras did not become High Court of Chennai. The High Court of Bombay continues to be High Court of Bombay. It's not High Court of Mumbai. High Court of Calcutta continues to be High Court of Calcutta. It is not High Court of Kolkata. So if for political purposes, we want to go back to our old names, we find that as a legal instruments and the legal heritage, somehow we have a problem with going back to these old names. High Court of Madras continues to be High Court of Madras because we've built a heritage in a certain way. And that is a heritage that we want to preserve. It's not Manusmriti that we want to preserve. So this whole concept of let's change names, okay, let's not worry about potholes in Bengaluru. Let's call Bengaluru as Bengaluru and so on and so forth. This is political at the most, and I don't have a problem with India becoming Bharat. But for that, we need a standard, there is a standard manner of amending the constitution. And the president, who is a custodian of the constitution, is meant to be mindful of that. And the president cannot just one fine morning decide that I've had enough of India. I will now have Bharat because you have BJP and then the RSS wanting India to be gone and then Bharat to be brought in. You have their sympathizers and intellectuals also writing books and saying India is not good. We will have Bharat. So let me have Bharat. Now, for the president to do what she did is, of course, disturbing. And it's even more disturbing because it coincides with what the political party in power wants. And we have to, you know, at some level understand that malnutrition in this country is something the Prime Minister should be talking about. The BJP should be talking about malnutrition. We don't find them talking about malnutrition. We don't find them talking about something worthwhile. You know, people are dying on potholes in Bengaluru. And we are not talking about that. We are not talking about water scarcity. We are not talking about 100 issues that we have miserably failed in solving. And we want this change of name. We want to go to this glorious past. What glorious past are we talking about? It's a past that exists in the imagination of so many of these intellectuals that are aligned with the ruling BJP. And, you know, they don't even seem to have a proper understanding of the past. The past is not something that we should always go back to. It's enough if we, in fact, solve the current problems of the day. And if we should go back to the past, there is a manner in doing so. Please follow that. I have absolutely no problem in India becoming Bharat. But for that to happen, you know how, laborious the procedure is. And why did we short circuit that? And more so, why did the president short circuit that? How are you going to trust this president to deal with a hypothetical scenario of, let's say, the 2024 election to the Lok Sabha throws out a hung assembly? How is she going to deal with that? She is today unable to show independence from the ruling political party. How do you trust her to, in fact, exhibit independence when you have a trying and a testing scenario? G20 is the worst possible time to have done this. Had it been just a formal dinner or something for all the political parties and then the president did something of this manner, it's different. But G20 is not the place for this.
G20 is not the place for Suresh Pichatal. Do you agree with that? G20 was not the place for actually executing this kind of a change. There is a procedure. There should have been a laid out procedure that should have been taken care of. It's saying that laid out procedure was not taken care of, and that is why question needs to be asked on that action. Do you agree with that?
Has India changed the name to Bharat officially? No. In the constitution, is there a provision to call Bharat? Yes. Now, I find it very strange that, when you talk of anything to do with Bharat or anything to do with, we are told, don't go back to the past. The Jews need to be told, don't look at the past. Forget what happened in Auschwitz. It was all a party. We all had fun. Is that what you learn from history? I find it very strange that these people who talk about ancestors, millions who were killed by the Islamic invaders, don't you want to talk about it? I find it very strange in this intellectual leftist ideology. Okay, you might call me a rightist, you might call me a sympathizer of BJP, so be it. But what I'm trying to say is that we are a proud Bharati. In our national anthem, where is the word India? I want to ask that. Where is the word India in our national anthem? Why is it we didn't substitute Bharat in that with India? We didn't. Because there is a kind of system that we follow, that we call ourselves as Bharat. Yes, I agree with you. If there's a name change, it has to be done officially. But the president has not done anything wrong. And the president of India knows better than you and me sitting here. And I think it is wrong to drag the office of the president of India into a news debate and call her names. I think it's a wrong thing to do. It is just not done. Keep the president out of it. She must have consulted the law ministry. She must have consulted the legal counsel before sending an invite. She doesn't sit there and print the invite. It is vetted by a process. And definitely, RSS chief spoke about it, so she is representative of RSS. I find it ridiculous. We have Owaisi talking various things which KCR says yes. So we say that Owaisi is running KCR's government. No, it's a different thing altogether. That's what I'm trying to say. As a nation, we are never proud of our past. We don't like to be called, we don't like to be going back to Ramayana because the Congress says Rama didn't exist. Affidavit in the court, Supreme Court. So what are we trying to do? We are trying to say that our past didn't exist, but look at every other nation, including Japan, which got bombed. They all remember their past. They all remember it. Germany remembers it. Israel remembers it. US remembers it. Everybody remembers their past. So the moment you give away your past, you are giving away your history. I'm not saying that overnight change India to Bharat. Okay, I agree with you. Bombay High Court still is Bombay High Court. IIT Madras, IIT Bombay. I agree with you on all those points. But the point is, why didn't you criticize the Tamil Nadu government or the Tamil Nadu politicians for changing the name to Chennai? Why were you quiet then? Yes, resolutions required to be passed. We will pass it. But the constitution doesn't prohibit you from using the word Bharat. It is there in the constitution. And this is exactly what we need to use. But we feel to be very shy about it. When it comes to only the Hindutva elements, as they call it, as Udayanidhi Stalin calls it, kill the Hindutvas, kill the Sanatana Dharmas. And he says it applies to all religions. Does Sanatana Dharma apply to Islam? I find it very strange. Does the Sanatana Dharma apply to Christianity? And he's saying, I'm talking about caste in all religions. Excuse me, I think he's either not read the constitution or he doesn't know what the system of caste in India is all about. I'm keeping Udayanidhi out of this, but coming to the president, I think the president has every right, in my opinion, to invite the person as long as she doesn't change her name, doesn't change the country's name as it exists in our constitution. Yes.
But hasn't she changed the name of the country, Mr. Kochetil?
No, she has not.
2 months. Are you trying to say, Mr. Kochetil, just hear me out, please. I heard you patiently. I didn't interjected you. Are you trying to say that the president is at will to use Bharat in India whenever she feels like, she or he or whatever, whenever she feels like? You can interchange the country's name. So where
did she interchange the country's name? Is Bharat not a country's name? What does Article 1 say? Hindi, Bharat, English, India. Please go and read it.
No,
it's there. She hasn't changed the name of the country.
Can we have that
She knows what
invite
it is
on display?
Written, you know, that English India, Hindi Bharat. And why was, if this was the case, then why wasn't it used earlier?
That's a good
The
question.
most authoritative
Lot of things
copy
were
would
not
be
done
English,
earlier.
it's not Hindi.
Lot of things were not done earlier. Was Kolkata existing earlier? Yes. Only when
No,
the
no, I mean,
resolution
see,
was passed.
when you talk about Kolkata, you know, the name change has a process. Name change is a process. You know, it doesn't get changed,
Yes.
Mr. Kochatil,
Yes, I
just
agree
like
with
that.
you.
You know, I would completely
I agree
understand that, you know, if there is a session in parliament or if the government takes a formal decision, that's absolutely all right. But the point is that, no, have you ever seen, are you trying to say that Bombay was changed into Mumbai like this? Or Chennai
Did I
was
say
changed
that?
into
What I'm trying
Madras
to
was
say, there
changed
is a
into Chennai like
process.
this?
There's no need to change the name. The name exists in the Constitution. Article 1 says Bharat.
The
Who
Article
put that
1 doesn't
name
say
there?
Bharat, sir. The Article 1 says India, that is Bharat. So I'm saying that
No,
why wasn't the president using it before?
You read the
Why wasn't the
interpretation in
president
that.
using it before? Why was everyone
Yeah.
using?
See, that's
Why
the
is your
question.
passport says Republic of India?
Yeah, so tomorrow it can be changed. Isn't it? Did many countries
No,
change
no,
the
change
names?
it, but make it official first, na? Are you going to
Exactly.
change it just
Do
like
it.
that?
Do it. I'm saying do it. Run the
All right.
process through.
All
Right
right,
now,
all
there's
right.
no
We
such-
have some reactions coming in. Yes, Mr.
Fine,
Kochatil. Kochatil, we have some reactions coming in to this story. Let's listen into that.
हमें नहीं पता था कि भाजपा वाले इतने कमजोर लोग हैं, इतनी जल्दी परेशान हो गए। अभी तो चंद हफ्ते हुए हैं इंडिया नाम के इस गठबंधन को बने हुए, और आप खिलवाड़ करना आपने शुरू कर दिया। इनविटेशन भेजे जा रहे हैं रिपब्लिक ऑफ इंडिया की जगह रिपब्लिक ऑफ भारत। साहब, आर्टिकल 1 में बड़ा क्लियर पोजीशन है, इंडिया दैट इज भारत। और अगर आप हमसे डर करके, इस गठबंधन से डर करके, तो उसकी टैगलाइन पढ़ लीजिएगा। नीचे इंडिया के नीचे टैगलाइन है, जुड़ेगा भारत, जीतेगा इंडिया। क्या क्या ले लोगे? इतनी परेशानी? कम से कम इस बात को स्मरण करिए कि बाबा साहब भीमराव अंबेडकर ने ये व्यवस्थाएं की थी। आप माला उनको पहनाते हैं, लेकिन अंतर्मन में बाबा साहब नहीं है। इसका प्रतिकार होगा। ना आप इंडिया हमसे ले पाओगे, ना भारत ले पाओगे। आपके हाथ में जो वो चीजें हैं ना, अभी मेजॉरिटी के कारण वो सब छीन ली जाएंगी, और यही आवाम करेगी जिसे इंडिया से भी प्यार है और भारत से भी मोहब्बत है।
देखिए, मैं ये अभियान नहीं चला रहा हूँ, सारा देश ये चाहता है। तमाम कोनों से ये मांग आ रही है, और हमारे सम्मानीय राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ के सरसंघ चालक जी ने भी भारत शब्द के लिए उन्होंने अपील किया है कि देश के लोगों को भारत शब्द बोलना चाहिए, दूसरा कोई शब्द नहीं बोलना चाहिए। भारत, इस देश का जो नाम है वो भारत है, दूसरा कोई नाम नहीं। और दूसरे, भारत में जो भारत शब्द में जो जज्बा है, जो भारत एक प्राणवान है, उससे हमको ऊर्जा मिलती है, एक श्रद्धा का भाव हमारा प्रकट होता है, वो इंडिया में दूर दूर तक नहीं है।
अरे भैया मत बोलो, नाराज जाएंगे मोदी जी। उन्हीं तो रखा था मेक इन इंडिया, स्किल इंडिया, खेलो इंडिया, ये सब तो नारे थे। हाँ, एक अशुभ था, राइजिंग इंडिया जब कहा था, उस चुनाव में भाजपा बुरी तरह हारी थी। तो ये इंडिया शब्द से जो इनको एक अजीब सा डर, भय, सहम गए हैं, क्या ये इस हद तक चले जाएंगे कि संविधान बदल देंगे? संविधान में लिखा है इंडिया दैट इज ए भारत। तो इंडिया और भारत तो भीमराव अंबेडकर, हमारे पूर्वजों, भारत की लोकसभा, राज्यसभा द्वारा पारित संविधान में शब्द है, इसे कैसे हटाओगे? इतना डर अच्छा नहीं होता बच्चे।
चंद्रमा पे जो मिशन गया, वो किस एजेंसी ने भेजा जिसको लेके हम सब वाह कर रहे हैं? इसरो में वो आए क्या है? इंडिया। आज जो हमारे जो इंजीनियर्स बाहर जाते हैं,
Well, you heard the thing. The entire branding of a country has been done when it comes to India. Everything in this country has been branded as India. So when you have your entire, this current government's slogans, if you look at, have also been branded with India. Why rebrand all of a sudden? That's the big question. KV Dhananjay, how do you react? Is it rebranding exercise which is going to be actually quite problematic, because most of your key policies have also been branded with India. The country has been branding itself as India. across the world, and its trade relations, everything has been India. And there's a reason for it that they have gone ahead with it. But then rebranding exercise, why is it not?
Well, rebranding is okay on regular person's perception. We look at rebranding and things like that, but I don't even want to go there. I want to look at formality alone. And coming back to formality, we have X number of countries in the world, and the President of India cannot say to G20 that she is President of Bharat and not say the same to the other countries of the world. And the other countries of the world are going to laugh at us, and they're going to say, what is Bharat, by the way? Because the president, India is not the whole world. India is one of 200 odd countries of the world that the United Nations recognizes. Now, someone in Somalia might have difficulty with this Bharat controversy. They might say, what is this Bharat? We don't know what Bharat is. We only knew what India is. And while you're dealing with the world, you have to take care of formalities. Number one. Number two, Madras becoming Chennai was not done overnight, and certainly never by a surprise. It was done through a laborious process that took months together, that involved consensus, that involved resolutions coming from the local bodies, and thereafter at a state level, and then the files being sent over to the central government. That is how it was done. Now, the President of India is not here to charm any political party, and the comment was made that we should not bring the President into this. This is an invitation sent out in the name of the President. And if you have a problem with anything, you must have a problem with the President of India. And if you do have a problem with the President of India, you must raise it on a television channel, because this continues to be a free country. It's unthinkable that you have a problem with all of this, but you're not going to drag the President into this. The first thing you should do is to drag the President into this. It is important for the President to go back today and ask, how did this controversy erupt? And if this controversy is not a controversy, then the President official communicate and say, I have chosen, after I woke up this morning, to change everything. And India is not India. India will be Bharat. I'm not the President of India. I'm the President of Bharat. This is going to be a disaster of sorts, and I don't care about these politics. And by the way, the comment as to Mr. Stalin, whatever Mr. Stalin said is a crime under the Indian Penal Code. Why is an FIR not registered against him? Why has he not been arrested as that? The Indian Penal Code continues to operate in Tamil Nadu. He deserves to have an FIR lodged against him, and he should be arrested. That's a law. And it's important for us to honor the law. It's important for us to honor the protocols, because these things matter. It's not emotions. It's not some fantasies with the imagined past.
Fantasies with imagined past. That's a very strong word, group of words that you have put together. Mr. Kochatal, how do you respond to this?
Well, I still stand by the fact that a news channel, we can debate about a president, but demeaning a president of India is not done. And I'm sure that there are protocols.
Mr. Kochatal, nobody is demeaning the president.
Nobody is demeaning the president.
Yes, you are.
No,
tell me in which regard are you saying? I'm sorry to
in your mental faculty,
maybe very strong words used against her.
What strong words that we have here?
That she got up in the morning and decided to change the name of Bharat. Is that the way to say it?
No, that was used by Mr. K.V. Dhananjay, not by the channel.
Your channel is still responsible for what it said.
No. It's not about what it said.
Nobody is demeaning President of India. See, everybody holds just because you say so. And
I take very strong objection.
Yes, you can have. Nobody advertised, but nobody is demeaning the President of India. Let me make this very clear.
No, it is. The words were used by on your channel according to the Supreme Court judgment last week, 2 weeks ago. It clearly says that what the channel said, the channel owners are responsible for it. At the point when it was said, you should have cut off and said, sorry, we are not involving the president, and let us debate the issue of Bharat and India. Don't bring in the president.
The invite has come from the president.
The invite has come from the president. Nobody is demeaning the President of India. Please, can you respond to what he said
on that point?
Can you just respond to what he said?
The RSS, she's that, she's this. It is still not done. It is not done. End of the day, the President of India is kept out of all this. She is a Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces. She's kept out of all this. But here we are deliberately dragging her.
Can you please listen to what Mr. K.V. Dhananjay is saying? And then respond to it.
The channel does not have the power to cut me off. I am a licensed lawyer in this country. I take responsibility for what I say. And I'm telling the channel that I'm well within my right to say what I have just said. The channel does not have the power to cut me off. And it's your personal and subjective and wrong assumption that the president is being demeaned. We have the greatest respect for the president. We are worried about the stature of the president. Whatever we have said with that worry over how the stature of the president is being lowered by what just happened this morning. So the channel has nothing whatsoever. They have no editorial control over what I have said. The channel did not even ask me what my views are. It's a complete surprise to the channel as to what I would say. The channel simply called me for my standing. I'm here. I'm speaking out my mind. The only person who's responsible for whatever I've said is me and me alone. I'm a professional. I'm not a person on the street for which a channel can exercise editorial control. I've spoken my mind. I stand by everything that I've said. And whatever I've said, I understand it to be keeping in line with the greatest honor and dignity that the office of the President of India commands.
Mr. Kochetil, there's just one question which I wanted to ask is that, a lot of opposition parties are now saying that this name change could have been put into effect because the government or the BJP is scared of the new bloc, which is also named as INDIA, which is India. The Aam Aadmi Party, the Congress and the other alliance partner. Do you agree with that assessment?
That is why in all the surveys, both the surveys done till now, the opposition is winning 300 seats. I assume that is what you're trying to say. What is the scared factor here? One needs to look at reality. Let us keep politics out of it. Everybody knows the truth. Everybody knows what 2024 is done and dusted. Okay? Now, that is not the point of debate here. You can always claim that Modi is scared, NDA is scared, these people are scared, they are scared. Everybody knows who is scared. They couldn't even appoint a convener of this entire alliance in Mumbai. Why? Who is scared now? That is exactly the point. They are scared within themselves. So let us keep the opposition out of it. That is their job. That is what they keep saying all along. My question is simple. My question is, this has not been set into motion. There is no change of name that has happened. They have not painted over Delhi boards in Delhi saying it is Bharat. The president has sent out an invite. Good that it has provoked a debate. Let it go on. And if subsequently it happens so, let the parliament go through the process, or let the union government decide a process of renaming the country. At the end of the day, yes, Persia was something different and Iran is today a different country. There are different countries which have changed their names. That doesn't mean that we have to also kind of go overnight and change it. No, we will follow a process. Yes, the president has not said that we have changed the name of the country. And again, I'm very, very surprised because in many instances, official instances, we use Bharat. Bharat ke Rashtrapati. We do say India ke Rashtrapati.
You say it in a context, no? You say, like, for example,
yes, exactly.
When you come in English, you say that who is this? This is the President of India. When you take it in Hindi, you say Bharat ki Rashtrapati, right?
Yeah.
So,
yes. So what I'm trying to say is that, so you agree that Bharat ke Rashtrapati, so Bharat can be used? But you're saying Bharat is not existing at all.
Linguistic context, yes.
That's exactly.
In a linguistic context, yes. But here, it is not a linguistic context. Here, what happens is, the linguistic context has been twisted, is what is being said. Because it is an English invite that has gone with the President of India being said is the President of Bharat. All right. So
I mean, then the real term would have been
why doesn't the opposition parties ask for a clarification from the President of India? Yeah. Why do they have to come and kind of go against the President of India? President of India is not obligated to give a clarification. She is not sitting there to answer people who are kind of making.
But Mr. Kochetil, the opposition parties are calling it right from Jairam Ramesh to Arvind Kejriwal to all. They are saying that that this was not on the anvil or anyway on the agenda till the India bloc came in. Then I'm just saying what Jairam Ramesh is saying. You can see the quote tweet of Jairam Ramesh, which is out there, which says that Rashtrapati Bhavan has sent out an invite for the G20 dinner in the name of President of Bharat instead of the usual President of India. He also goes on to say that Article 1 of the Constitution can read Bharat, that was India, shall be a union of state. But now even this union of states is under assault. And then he goes on to say that जीतेगा भारत जुड़ेगा, जीतेगा India जुड़ेगा Bharat. And they are saying that now
advertising slogans.
How do you respond to this, Mr. Kochetil?
Advertising, we can all make up advertising slogan. Jairam Ramesh is very good at. We know who changed the preamble of the Indian Constitution illegally while the country was under emergency and the opposition leaders were in jail. Okay, we all know. Later on, the Keshwan Bharati came in. saying that basic structure of the constitution cannot be changed. Anyway, that's a different debate. My point is very simple. Let this provoke a debate. It's good it does this. Does any foreign country have an objection in India calling itself Bharat? I heard somebody say that Somalia will not recognize Bharat. So what? We are not obligated to Somalia for something. If I have changed my country's name to Bharat, we understand what we are. Did we object to your country's name being called Somalia? We didn't. So it is our proud privilege to call ourselves Bharat. On the ISRO rocket, when it goes up, there is India, there is Bharat. Why didn't you take it off? Why don't you say, no, remove Bharat, only India should be there? It is there. And I saw somebody saying Indian Space Research Organization. There are so many organizations called Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited. Why? Why do we call Bharat Electronics? You should call Indian Electronics, isn't it? There are instances where this has been done in the past. I mean, the BJP didn't name BHEL. It was done by Nehru. Why was it done? Go back and ask them. This is my question. It is very, very, kind of demeaning. And for me, it still is. I'm very disturbed by the fact that we are calling President of India names here. We are insinuating her. We are attributing motives to her. She has done it with a purpose, the best known to her. Let us leave it at that. It's as simple as that. But bringing in RSS chief and equating RSS chief, what she has said with what she did, I think it's absolutely not done. The RSS chief has a point.
RSS chief, but Mr. Kochetil, the thing happened is that 3 days back, the RSS chief spoke about this issue. And immediately 3 days after, this letter came out and this whole controversy erupted. So there was there was a conjecture that was followed. But I'm just asking you, the opposition, the majority of the opposition, there's a back and forth between the BJP and the Congress also. The BJP is saying that people who try to call themselves India and all, why are they so scared of the chant of Bharat Mata Ki Jai and all? See, the point is that both sides are trying to, BJP is saying no, they are not afraid. They have no objection or the problem with India per se acronym. The Congress is saying that yes, they have, and this is the reason why this slight change.
The Congress will say that because they are a political party. They can say it. India Mata Ki Jai, we will call it tomorrow. Okay, we will not say because India is not there, Bharat is not there, so let us call it Indira Mata Ki Jai. Okay, so we have done that. This is the same Congress which said Indira is India, India is Indira, yes. Isn't it? So we know where this party comes from. Yeah, Mr. Bharwa did that during the emergency. We all know this. So see, it is not sacrosanct that if you ask me when I go outside, when I was abroad, there are many instances where people came and asked me, Bharat Desh se hai kya? So why did they ask that? Didn't India Desh se hai kya? No, they didn't. There are people who speak English. What I'm trying to say, let us not attribute motives. Let us not attribute motives here.
Mr. Kochatal, they are not foreigners. I presume it's fellow Indians or people of Indian origin who came and asked that question to you. So they would in fact refer from their linguistic context. That's why they asked Bharat Desh se kya.
Exactly.
So when they asked from a linguistic now, if a foreigner would come ask, what would he ask? He would ask you, are you from India?
Yeah, see, that is exactly.
He won't be asking, are you from Bharat, right?
Yeah, it is like saying I don't like Hindi being called a national language. But when a French guy speaks in France, in spite of knowing English, you will say, wow, man, he speaks French. That's what exactly the point is. The point is we are ashamed of our identity. We have been made to feel ashamed of our identity.
Nobody is ashamed of our identity. Part of our identity comes from...
It is.
See, this country is see, Mr. Kochatal, you have been given a one-sided idea about this country. I'm being saying that this country is an amalgamation of...
I can say it the other way around.
This is an amalgamation of a lot of cultures. This is an amalgamation of a lot of cultures.
I come from Kerala, okay?
I also come from Kerala, Mr. Kochatal.
He's also from Kerala.
I'm also from Kerala. So
I speak fluent Tamil.
I also speak fluent Tamil. I also speak fluent Kannada. I also speak fluent Kannada. I also speak fluent Tamil. I also speak
but then
fluent
you say
Malayalam.
Hindi is not done. Hindi is not to be followed. Hindi teriyadu. What is that stuff? And then you go and make hoardings in Hindi. You release full page ads in Hindi. What does it mean? You know the target audience. It is just that this entire movement against the Indianness, against Bharatiya, that is being hit. And after the last 9 years, you have people like Sai Deepak and others who have been pillared. Sadhguru Jagi Vasudev or anybody when the moment you say that you are a Bharatiya, you are attacked from all sides. The communists have no qualms about what history was written for us. There is no Rani Abbakka mentioned in our books, but there is Akbar the Great. What about Rani Abbakka? How many Indians know her? That
Okay,
she
you're
killed
from
an entire
Kerala. You're from
platoon of-
Kerala, Mr. Suresh Kuchatal. I'll tell you one thing. You're
Yeah.
from Kerala. 1653. 1653, January 3rd. Something big happened in Kerala. Do you know about it?
It
was
it's like asking a quiz question by Derek O'Brien, you know.
I'm not
Is it what are
asking
we
a quiz
talking
question.
about?
Since
Are
you
the
said,
Battle of
since you
Kolachal, are we talking about Battle of
said,
Kolachal
no,
or
because I'll tell you why.
Markandavarma
Because
battle?
you said you're from Kerala. I'm asking you, do you know what is so important about that particular? It is the first movement against colonialism in this country. It is not mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's
So
what I'm
why
saying.
is it not
See,
mentioned?
Markandavarma's greatest naval battle, the Battle of Kolachal, is it mentioned in our history books? It is not.
So why?
You should ask that question.
So then,
This is
if you,
not exactly,
when I
am
studied
from
history,
Kerala, but I grew
when
up in
I
Hyderabad.
studied
Let me
history,
clarify that point. You ask me about Telangana, I'll answer about Telangana. But more than anything else, I'm a Malayali, yes, but I was brought up. I grew up totally in Hyderabad.
I'm also a
That's
Malayali.
the
I was
different
brought
matter.
up totally, brought up completely in Bengaluru. So I have a composite
there's-
understanding of cultures when it comes to this country.
What I'm trying to say is that we have tried to whitewash our history. Our history has been whitewashed by the Irfan Habibs and the Romila Thapas. We need to correct our history. Okay, and
our
it's a
history
long
is
debate.
complex. It's a long debate. Our history is complex, and just to codify
Yes,
it between our
agree.
history between India and
Agree with
Bharat,
you
of
on
course,
that.
that is
Agree
not
with
going to
you
be
on
aspect of it.
So just because the president sends out an invite saying President of Bharat, oh my God, the entire opposition parties are kind of broken loose. This is what I'm trying to ask. Tomorrow they should not utter the word Bharat
Mr.
anywhere.
Dhananjay,
Let
I
them
want to
not
ask you
say.
one question, because it's a political question. The question is that, that many opposition parties, now they have come out in open, they are saying that, ever since this new bloc which has been built, and the reason why we cannot take away the politics out of it is because 2024 is just round the corner, 8 or 9 months max. There is a massive assertion by the opposition parties, be it Aam Aadmi Party, Congress or others, that the reason why this change is happening is because the BJP is rattled with the kind of reception it is receiving from ground ever since they have converted themselves into India bloc.
I think.
No, Mr. Kochadal, it is from Mr.
Political
Dhananjay.
reporter.
Mr. Kochadal, if opposition asks, it's our duty to ask. I am asking him the same question which I asked you. So let him reply, please.
Hypothetically, let's assume the Congress would not object to it, and the Congress would say, "Jay, this is great. We have come back. We have gone back to our past." Hypothetically, let's assume that all the political parties are perfectly fine with it. They celebrate today's invitation. If there was going to be a debate after all that, I would have said everything that I've said now, even after that, because I don't care about what Congress or the opposition is worried about. It's not about that. The issue here is far more serious than that. India, the government of India is a signatory to numerous treaties. And once you have the president of India calling herself as a president of Bharat, you know the kind of confusion, and it's possible. So in some cases, it could be a commotion also. The parties are going to write to the government of India and say, look, we have an agreement with the government of India. What is this government of Bharat? What do we need to do? Do we have to amend this treaty? Do we have to amend this agreement? It is not it is never casually done in the manner that it has been done. I've come here as a lawyer. I've come here as a person who reads up the constitution. I do not care about what the opposition wants or what the opposition would say. And even if the opposition would celebrate and say that, okay, we are fully with the BJP on this, that the president of India has done today what should have been done, I would have still stuck to my opposition to this. This is not done. This is actually a very grave issue. G20 is the richest countries of the world. The most powerful countries of the world are all here in Delhi. And before them, we've just changed our name. And that's not done. It should not have been done at all. I do not care about what the opposition wants. And, the opposition at the end of the day might, have a meeting and
No,
say
I'm just
that,
asking
okay,
you, do you feel that there's any merit in what the opposition leaders are asserting? That the name change could have happened because the new bloc is on in the political arena?
Well, I think the opposition might want to make itself more relevant and important. So to that extent, it looks like the opposition is not really, gathering as much steam as they would want the public to think about. So the opposition's rationale for objecting, I think, is entirely different from my rationale for objecting it. Okay. So the opposition's rationale in that sense has no merit whatsoever. The opposition's rationale is not based on everything that we've been discussing here, or rather I've been actually talking about. So I don't think there is really legal merit, or not, forget legal merit. I don't think there is really merit in what the opposition is, talking about here. They're not able to offer any meaningful rationale, certainly that the public can actually consume. I think their opposition is merely political. So I honestly don't see merit in the opposition's opposition to this movement by the president. If you want to oppose what the president has done, I think you will have to give different reasons. I don't think the opposition is giving any of those reasons at all. So I don't support what the opposition is doing here, and I would continue to oppose it, irrespective of what the opposition has to say. And I assume that the opposition may very well actually change their track and say, okay, they are with it.
But Mr. Dhananjay, there have been several amendments also to the constitution. It has not been that the constitution has never before tinkered with or change has been brought to. So is your reservation only about the fact that this particular invite uses President of Bharat, or you have an aversion to, or you have an objection to the use of word Bharat? Because the reason I'm asking you this question is because tomorrow if the government of India, ratifies it through constitutional process and all, and the name is changed from India to Bharat, will that be all right to you?
I will be all right with that, provided the government asks stakeholders and the government, talks to the various embassies also. Because what name we change of this country is not just for domestic purpose, it will also be for an international purpose. I am okay with if the government takes up a formal approach to this, and a formal approach is not going to be done in a day or week or months. It could take a very long time. You're not going to change the name of a country. You're not just going to do that easily. And not if you are as prominent as India is. India is not Iran, India is not Iraq, India is far more prominent than any of those countries. We are the largest democracy in the world. We have the second largest population, when we are signatory to a massive number of treaties, some of which, in fact, we ourselves heralded. We ourselves took the initiative. So I'm okay if there is going to be a formal movement in that regard. But what I was not okay with is the president. By the way, the president of India is not the Queen of England. There are things that we would not do to a Queen of England, but then there are things that we can always talk about a President of India, because President of India is a creation of the Constitution. And as someone who's read up the Constitution, I know what kind of language deserves to be used where. So the President of India ought not to have done what was done today. And what was done today could have been done if there was a formal process, if we involved everybody. And my opposition comes primarily because the President of India simply obliged to what, in fact, the BJP party and the RSS party wanted to happen. And that is where I have a problem, because now I have difficulty in perceiving true independence on the part of the President of India, and that worries us. We always want our president to be independent of the political parties. We want our president to say, I do not care who's in power today and who's going to come in power 5 years later. I have a constitution to uphold, and I will uphold that constitution.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Dhananjay, as well as Suresh Kocherla and Mr. Pandey, Brijesh Pandey, on this particular aspect of the debate. And as we, in fact, spoke about, the big debate still goes on, whether it is Bharat or India. But I think there's a process that has to be followed, and probably that process is what the opposition parties have missed out on. And they have, in fact, ensured that it is taken upon themselves, say that it is an attempt against us. But anyway, it's a debate that has, in fact, seen the different viewpoints being put together. But before we go, we also give you what some of the chief ministers of this country have been thinking, and some prominent politicians as well. They have given their reactions to this. That's just after this.
See, in our constitution, it is incorporated that Constitution of India. It's called as Constitution of India. India is an accepted word for our country. Making it Bharat, I don't think it is required.
ऐसा क्यों किया जा रहा है? ऐसा कहा जा रहा है, इसलिए किया जा रहा है क्योंकि इंडिया नाम का कई सारी पार्टियों का एक अलायंस बना है जिसका नाम इंडिया है। तो अगर किसी पार्टियों का अलायंस इंडिया बन जाता है तो वो देश का नाम बदल देंगे। देश तो 140 करोड़ लोगों का है, किसी एक पार्टी का देश थोड़ी है। कल मान लीजिए इस इंडिया अलायंस ने अपना नाम बदल के भारत रख लिया, तो फिर भारत भी बदल देंगे। फिर क्या भारत का नाम बीजेपी रखेंगे, या भारत का नाम फिर क्या रखेंगे? मान लो इंडिया अलायंस ने कल एक मीटिंग करके अपना नाम इंडिया से बदल के भारत रख लिया, तो क्या ये फिर भारत का नाम भारत बदल देंगे? ये क्या मजाक है? देश है भाई, देश इतने हजारों साल पुराना भारत देश है, इतनी बड़ी पुरानी संस्कृति है, इतना पुराना हमारा देश है, उसका नाम इसलिए केवल बदल के रखा जा रहा है क्योंकि इंडिया अलायंस बन गया और बीजेपी को ये लग रहा है कि थोड़े बहुत 4 वोट इनके कम हो जाएंगे इंडिया अलायंस बनने से, तो वोट कम हो जाएंगे इसलिए भारत का नाम बदल दो। ये तो देश के साथ गद्दारी है।
मतलब पार्लियामेंट पैनिक बटन मतलब दब चुका है।
ऐसा लगता है कि देखिए इंडिया अलायंस का के लिए जो इनका रिस्पॉन्स है उससे लगता है कि बहुत ज़्यादा बौखलाए हुए हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा बौखलाए हुए हैं। जिस दिन इंडिया अलायंस आया था उस दिन उन्होंने एक शगुफा छोड़ दिया, 1 नेशन 1 इलेक्शन करेंगे, डाइवर्ट करने के लिए टेंशन। 1 नेशन 1 इलेक्शन कैसे कर सकते हैं? 1 नेशन 1 इलेक्शन से जनता को क्या फ़ायदा है कि मतलब मैं अगर आपको कहूँ 1 नेशन 1 इलेक्शन करेंगे, कोई फ़ायदा होगा आपको? आपके परिवार को कोई फ़ायदा होगा? बच्चों को कोई फ़ायदा होगा? कोई महंगाई कम हो जाएगी, बेरोजगारी कम हो जाएगी 1 नेशन 1 इलेक्शन का? 1 नेशन 1 इलेक्शन का बस एक ही फ़ायदा है, अभी ये इनको हर 6-6 महीने में जनता के बीच में जाके जनता के कुछ काम करने पड़ते हैं। फिर ये 5 साल में एक बार शक्ल दिखाएंगे, 5 साल पूरी दुनिया घूमेंगे, फिर 5 साल में एक बार शक्ल दिखाने आएंगे। मैं चैलेंज करता हूं अगर 1 नेशन 1 इलेक्शन हो गया तो अगले चुनाव के पहले 5,000 रुपये का सिलेंडर मिलेगा और अगली बार फिर ये 5,000 सिलेंडर करके और कहेंगे 200 रुपये कम कर दिए सिलेंडर के। तो ये बेसिकली काम नहीं करना चाहते, 5 साल काम नहीं करना चाहते, 5 साल मटर गश्ती कर।
इंजीनियरिंग कर रहे हैं क्योंकि सभी लोग कर रहे हैं।
Coaching is now starting from grade 3, 4, 5, 6.
कोटा जाने वाली बीच राह में आधे टेस्ट देके हैं सिलेक्शन की चाह में।
ऑल इंडिया का बच्चा कोटा जाता है।
This rat race is for rats, not for humans. So why